The envelope trembled in Vanessa's dark hands as she stared at the 2 pink lines on the pregnancy test. Her heart hammered against her ribcage while she sat in the marble bathroom of the penthouse she shared with the most dangerous man in Seoul. Minjun would be home any minute, and she had to tell him. They'd been together for a year, passionate and intense, and surely he would be happy. Surely the man who whispered promises against her skin every night would want this child. She was wrong. The front door slammed, echoing through the lavish apartment like a gunshot. Heavy footsteps approached, and Vanessa quickly hid the test in her robe pocket, her pulse racing as she emerged from the bathroom. Minjun stood in the living room, his sharp jaw clenched, his dark eyes cold as winter in Seoul. Blood spotted his white shirt collar. "We need to talk," she said softly, her Nigerian accent thickening with emotion. He loosened his tie without looking at her. "Not now, Vanessa. I just eliminated a traitor. I'm not in the mood. Minjun, please. This is important." She moved closer, placing a gentle hand on his arm. "I'm pregnant." The silence that followed was deafening. Minjun's entire body went rigid, and when he finally turned to face her, his expression was carved from ice. "Get rid of it," he said, his voice flat and emotionless. "I don't want a child. If you're ready for a story filled with heartbreak, revenge, and a love that refuses to die, stay tuned because what happens next will leave you speechless. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because you won't want to miss what this boss does when he discovers the truth 3 years later. Vanessa felt the floor tilt beneath her feet. "What did you just say?" Minjun walked to the bar cart and poured himself whiskey, his movements precise and controlled. "You heard me clearly. I'm the head of the Min family. I have enemies everywhere. A child is a liability, a weakness I cannot afford." He downed the amber liquid in one gulp. "Schedule an appointment. I'll have my driver take you." Tears burned behind Vanessa's eyes, but she refused to let them fall. "Not yet. Minjun, this is our baby. Our child." He slammed the glass down, finally meeting her gaze with those beautiful, cruel eyes that had once looked at her with something resembling love. "There is no R in my world, Vanessa. There's only power and survival. That thing inside you threatens both." He straightened his cufflinks. "You knew what I was when you came into my bed. Don't act surprised that I'm not some romantic fool ready to play family." "That thing." Vanessa's voice broke. "How can you call our child a thing?" "Because that's all it is right now. A cluster of cells that will become a target the moment it draws breath." Minjun's tone softened just slightly, which somehow made it worse. "I'm protecting you, Vanessa. You're African, already an outsider in this world. Do you think my enemies won't use a mixed child against me?" "Against you. So this is about shame?" Anger began to replace her shock. "You're ashamed that I'm black? That our child would be biracial?" Something flickered in Minjun's expression, but it vanished as quickly as it appeared. "This is about survival. About reality. My grandfather would never accept a bastard heir, especially not one who would dilute our bloodline. And my rivals would kidnap or kill the child before its first birthday." He moved toward her, reaching out to touch her face, but Vanessa jerked back. "Don't touch me," she whispered. "Don't ever touch me again." "Vanessa, be reasonable." "Reasonable?" She laughed bitterly, pulling the pregnancy test from her pocket and throwing it at his chest. It bounced off and clattered to the floor. "I'm carrying your child, and you want me to kill it. There's nothing reasonable about any of this." Minjun's jaw tightened. "I'm giving you a choice. Get rid of it or get out. But understand this, if you leave with nothing. The money, the apartment, the clothes, the jewelry, all of it stays. And you'll never hear from me again." The words hit her like physical blows. "You would throw me out?" "Just like that." "Just like that," he confirmed, his face an emotionless mask. "I didn't build an empire by being sentimental, Vanessa. I thought you understood that about me." She had understood. She'd seen him conduct business, watched him command respect and fear with equal ease. She'd witnessed his ruthlessness from a distance and foolishly believed she was different, that she was special. That what they had transcended his dark world. "I need time to think," she managed to say. "You have 24 hours. Minjun checked his expensive watch. "I have a meeting with the Park family tomorrow night. When I return, you'll either have an appointment scheduled or you'll be gone. Choose wisely." He walked past her toward the bedroom, leaving her standing alone in the living room with her shattered dreams scattered around her feet like broken glass. Vanessa waited until she heard the shower running before she let herself cry, great heaving sobs that shook her entire body. But even as she cried, her mind was working, planning. If Minjun wanted her gone, she would leave. But she would do it on her own terms. The next morning, while Minjun conducted business in his study, Vanessa moved with quiet purpose. She'd learned early in their relationship where he kept his emergency cash, at least $100,000 in various currencies hidden in a false bottom drawer in his office closet. She took half, enough to start over, but not enough that he'd hunt her down for theft. Probably. She also grabbed a few pieces of jewelry he'd given her, things she could sell if necessary. Her best friend Kaya arrived within the hour, her Korean-American face tight with worry. "Girl, are you absolutely sure about this? Minjun is not someone you run from. He has connections everywhere. He told me to get rid of my baby or get out," Vanessa said, stuffing clothes into a suitcase. "I'm just doing what he asked. Besides, he said he'd never contact me again. I'm taking him at his word." Kaya helped her pack, glancing nervously at the door. "Where will you go?" "Seoul is his city. Korea is his country. I have a cousin in Lagos. I'll stay there until I figure things out." Vanessa paused, pressing a hand to her still flat stomach. "I just need to disappear completely. What if he changes his mind? What if he comes looking for you?" Vanessa's laugh was hollow. "You didn't see his eyes, Kaya. There was nothing there. No love, no regret. Just cold calculation. I was convenient, exotic, good in bed. But I was never going to be the mother of his children." She zipped the suitcase closed. "I'm saving us both the trouble of prolonging the inevitable." They left before Minjun emerged from his study. Vanessa took one last look at the penthouse that had been her home for a year, at the life she'd thought she was building, and walked away without looking back. 3 days later, she was in Lagos, surrounded by the familiar chaos of the city she'd left behind to chase dreams in Seoul. Her cousin Chioma welcomed her with open arms and no judgment, setting her up in a small apartment and asking no questions. "When you're ready to talk, I'm here," Chioma said simply. "Until then, you're safe." Safe. Vanessa hadn't felt safe since she saw those 2 pink lines. The months passed in a blur of morning sickness, doctor's appointments, and learning to breathe again. She found work teaching English online, enough to support herself without touching Minjun's money more than necessary. She wanted to owe him nothing. But late at night, when the babies, yes, twins the ultrasound had revealed, kicked inside her, she thought about him. Wondered if he ever thought about her. Wondered if he felt any regret at all. He didn't. Or so she told herself. What Vanessa didn't know was that Minjun had returned to an empty penthouse that night, read the note she'd left, a simple goodbye on expensive stationery, and felt something crack in the ice around his heart. But pride and power were demanding masters, and Minjun served them both faithfully. He told himself she'd made her choice. He told himself it was better this way. He almost believed it. 3 years later, Seoul gleamed under summer sunshine as Minjun stepped out of his black Mercedes, his security detail flanking him like shadows. He'd agreed to this charity gala under pressure from his grandfather, who insisted the Min family needed to improve its public image. Minjun found the whole affair tedious, but he played his part, the respectable businessman hiding the ruthless crime lord beneath expensive tailoring. The gala was held in one of Seoul's most prestigious hotels, filled with Korea's elite and a smattering of international guests. Minjun worked the room with practiced ease, shaking hands and making small talk while his mind cataloged threats and opportunities. Then he saw her. Vanessa stood near the silent auction tables, and Minjun's world stopped spinning. She wore a green dress that hugged curves that were fuller than he remembered, her dark skin glowing against the emerald fabric. Her hair, once straightened to fit Korean beauty standards, now fell in natural curls around her shoulders. She was laughing at something someone said, and the sound carried across the room like a melody he'd forgotten he knew. But it wasn't just Vanessa that made his blood run cold. 2 children clung to her sides, a boy and a girl, roughly 3 years old if he had to guess. The boy had Vanessa's warm brown skin and his mother's smile. The girl was lighter, her features a perfect blend of African and Asian heritage. And when she turned her head, Minjun saw his own eyes staring back at him from that tiny face. His daughter. His son. The children he'd told Vanessa to destroy. Mr. Min, are you all right? His assistant, Jay, appeared at his elbow. You look like you've seen a ghost. Minjun couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. He watched as Vanessa crouched down to adjust the little girl's dress, watched as the boy tugged on his mother's hand, pointing excitedly at the chocolate fountain. A man approached them, tall and handsome, placing a familiar hand on Vanessa's lower back. She smiled at him, that same smile she used to give Minjun, and something violent and possessive roared to life in his chest. Find out everything about that woman, Minjun ordered, his voice deadly quiet. The woman in green. Who she's with, why she's here, where she's staying. Everything. Jay followed his gaze and nodded, disappearing into the crowd. Minjun forced himself to turn away, to continue his networking, but his eyes kept drifting back to Vanessa and the children. His children. The reality of it hit him like a bullet to the chest. She'd kept them. She'd left him, disappeared without a trace, and raised his children alone. The betrayal burned, but underneath it was something else, something that felt dangerously close to regret. Vanessa felt eyes on her before she saw him. It was the same sensation she'd experienced for a year in Seoul, that prickling awareness that meant Minjun was watching her. She looked up, scanning the crowd, and her heart stopped when their gazes locked across the room. He looked exactly the same. Sharp jaw, intense dark eyes, that dangerous aura that drew people in even as it warned them away. He was staring at her with an expression she couldn't read, his body rigid with tension. Mommy, I want chocolate, her son, Jaden, tugged at her hand, oblivious to the drama unfolding. Me too, his twin sister, Mia, chimed in. In a minute, babies, Vanessa managed to say, her voice shaking. She turned to her companion, David, a fellow teacher she'd been casually dating. Can you watch them for just a moment? I need some air. Of course. David, sweet and uncomplicated, smiled warmly. Take your time. Vanessa fled to the balcony, her heels clicking against marble as she gulped in fresh air. Her hands trembled as she gripped the railing. This wasn't supposed to happen. She'd returned to Seoul only because Chioma had moved here for work and convinced her to visit. The gala invitation had come through David's school, a last-minute +3 situation. What were the odds that Minjun would be here? Running away again? His voice, smooth and cold as silk, came from behind her. Vanessa closed her eyes, gathering her strength before turning to face him. I'm not running, she said quietly. I just needed air. Minjun stepped onto the balcony, and suddenly the spacious area felt suffocatingly small. He'd gotten bigger somehow, his shoulders broader, his presence even more commanding. You're good at that, aren't you? Needing air, needing space, needing to disappear completely without a word. Without a word? Anger spiked through her fear. I left you a note. Goodbye, he quoted, his jaw clenched. Very thorough. What did you want, Minjun? A detailed explanation? You made yourself perfectly clear. Get rid of it or get out. I got out. She lifted her chin defiantly. You should be happy. You got exactly what you wanted. Did I? He moved closer, and she forced herself not to retreat. Because those two children in there, the ones who have my eyes, my daughter's face, tell a different story. They're not your children, Vanessa said firmly, even as her heart raced. You gave up any right to them the moment you called them it and told me to destroy them. Something dangerous flashed in Minjun's eyes. They're my blood. DNA doesn't lie, Vanessa. You kept them. You ran away and kept my children from me. I saved them from you, she shot back. From a father who didn't want them, who would see them as liabilities and weaknesses. I gave them love, stability, safety, everything you said you couldn't provide. You had no right to make that choice alone. And you had no right to demand I abort them. Vanessa's voice rose, years of pain and anger erupting. You looked at me, pregnant with your children, and felt nothing. Nothing but inconvenience. So forgive me if I don't think you're entitled to father's rights now. Minjun grabbed her wrist, not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to hold her in place. I want a DNA test. Go to hell. I want to meet them properly. I want to know their names, their birthdays, everything you've stolen from me. Stolen. Vanessa laughed bitterly, trying to pull free. You threw us away like garbage, Minjun. I didn't steal anything. I salvaged what I could from the wreckage you created. Their name's Vanessa. His grip tightens slightly, his face inches from hers. Tell me their names. She could smell his cologne, the same scent that used to cling to her skin after nights tangled in his sheets. God, she hated that her body still remembered, still responded to his proximity. Jaden and Mia, she whispered. The boy is Jaden. The girl is Mia. They're 3 years old, and they're happy, and they don't need you disrupting their lives. Jaden and Mia, he repeated, something softening in his expression. My children. My children, Vanessa corrected, finally yanking her wrist free. I've been their mother for 3 years. I was there for every kick, every sleepless night, every first. You are nothing. You are nothing to them. The words landed like intended blows, and she saw Minjun flinch almost imperceptibly. Good. She wanted him to hurt the way she'd hurt. That changes now, Minjun said, his voice dropping to that dangerous tone she remembered from his business dealings. I will know my children, Vanessa. You can cooperate, or I can make your life very difficult. Your choice. Are you threatening me? She stepped closer, fury overriding caution. Because I'm not that naive girl anymore, Minjun. I'm not impressed by your money or your power. I'm a mother now, and I will protect my children from anything and anyone, including you. For a long moment, they stood toe-to-toe, neither willing to back down. Then Minjun's phone buzzed, breaking the spell. He glanced at it, his expression darkening. This isn't over, he said simply. I'll be in touch. Don't bother. He paused at the balcony door, looking back at her with those intense eyes. I will claim what's mine, Vanessa. That's not a threat. That's a promise. Then he was gone, leaving her alone with her racing heart and the terrible certainty that her carefully rebuilt life was about to crumble. Viewers, we're just getting started. Make sure you're subscribed because the revenge, the drama, the passion, it's all about to intensify. And trust me, you won't believe what Minjun does next. Vanessa returned to find David entertaining the twins, Mia sitting on his shoulders while Jaden showed him a toy car. The domestic scene should have warmed her heart, but all she felt was cold dread. Everything okay? David asked, setting Mia down carefully. Fine, Vanessa lied, forcing a smile. Actually, I'm not feeling well. Would you mind if we left early? Of course not. David, ever understanding, began gathering their things. Let's get you home. As they made their way to the exit, Vanessa felt eyes on her again. She glanced back to see Minjun standing with a group of businessmen, his gaze locked on her children with an intensity that made her blood run cold. He said something to the man beside him, never taking his eyes off Jaden and Mia. She hurried them out faster. The next morning, Vanessa was awakened by pounding on her hotel room door. Chioma had already left for work, and the twins were still sleeping in the adjoining room. Heart-hammering, she peered through the peephole to see a woman in a business suit holding a manila envelope. Delivery for Ms. Vanessa Okafor, the woman called. From Minjun. Vanessa's blood turned to ice, but she opened the door, keeping the chain latched. What is it? Mr. Min requests your presence for lunch today. The details are inside. The woman held up the envelope. He said to tell you it would be in your best interest to attend. And if I refuse? The woman's smile was professional and cold. Mr. Min was quite insistent that you understand this is not optional. He's prepared to pursue legal avenues if necessary. Vanessa snatched the envelope and slammed the door, her hands shaking as she tore it open. Inside was a note in Minjun's precise handwriting, an address for an upscale restaurant, a time, 1 p.m., and a single line that made her blood boil. Come alone, or my lawyers will ensure I take the children by force. We both know I have the resources to win any custody battle. Don't test me. Bastard, she hissed, crumpling the paper. But even as anger flooded her, fear followed close behind. He was right. Minjun had unlimited money, connections throughout Korea, and the ruthlessness to use every advantage. She was a single mother living on a teacher's salary in a country where she was still considered a foreigner. She had no choice. At 1 p.m., Vanessa walked into the restaurant, a private establishment that Minjun had apparently rented out entirely. He sat at a table by the window, looking infuriatingly calm and composed in a dark suit that probably cost more than her monthly salary. Thank you for coming, he said as she approached, standing politely to pull out her chair. As if you gave me a choice. Vanessa sat, refusing to touch the expensive place setting in front of her. Threatening to take my children? Really, Minjun? That's low, even for you. Our children, he corrected, sitting across from her. And I prefer to think of it as motivation rather than threat. Call it whatever helps you sleep at night. A waiter appeared with wine, but Vanessa waved it away, asking for water instead. Minjun dismissed the staff with a gesture, leaving them alone in the elegant space. I've had my people investigate, he began without preamble. You've been living in Lagos for 3 years, working as an online English teacher. You returned to Seoul 2 weeks ago to visit your cousin Chioma. You're staying at the Riverside Hotel, room 412. You're dating David Park, a teacher at Seoul International Academy, though the relationship appears casual. You haven't told the children about me. They think their father is dead. Vanessa's stomach churned. Of course, he'd had her investigated. You missed your calling as a stalker. I'm being thorough, Minjun replied calmly. As I am in all business matters. Business matters? She leaned forward, her voice sharp. Is that what your children are to you? Business? No. The word came out harder than she expected. They're family. My blood. And I take care of what's mine. They were your blood 3 years ago too, but that didn't stop you from telling me to abort them. Minjun's jaw tightened, the first crack in his composure. I made a mistake. The words hung in the air between them. Vanessa stared at him, shocked. What did you just say? I made a mistake, he repeated, meeting her gaze directly. I was wrong. I should have never said what I said, never given you that ultimatum. And I've regretted it every day since you left. Regretted it? Vanessa's laugh was bitter. You have a funny way of showing regret, Minjun. You didn't call, didn't look for me, didn't do anything for 3 years. But now that you've accidentally discovered the children exist, suddenly you're full of remorse? Forgive me if I don't find that convincing. I looked for you, Minjun said quietly. I had my best people searching for months. You disappeared completely, like a ghost. No trace, no trail. I assumed you'd gone through with the abortion and couldn't face me afterwards. That you'd started a new life somewhere far from me. And that assumption made you feel better about yourself? No. His voice was raw. It made me hate myself. Every day, I wondered if I'd destroyed the one real thing in my life for the sake of power and pride. Vanessa's throat tightened, but she refused to let him see her waver. Pretty words. But words are cheap, Minjun. You proved that 3 years ago. He reached across the table, but she pulled back before he could touch her. Pain flashed across his face, there and gone in an instant. I want to be part of their lives, he said. I want to know them, provide for them, protect them. They don't need your protection. They have me. You're living in a hotel room, Vanessa. Working online classes. I can give them everything, the best schools, security, opportunities you could never afford on your own. The condescension in his tone ignited her fury. They have what matters. Love, stability, a mother who wanted them from the very beginning. Your money can't buy that, and your power can't replicate it. I'm not trying to replace you, Minjun said, his voice softening. I'm asking for a chance to be their father. You gave up that chance. Then let me earn it back. He leaned forward, intensity burning in his dark eyes. Give me time with them. Supervised, controlled, whatever you need to feel safe. But give me a chance, Vanessa. Please. The please shocked her. Minjun didn't beg, didn't plead. He commanded and expected obedience. But there was something in his expression now, something vulnerable and real beneath the powerful exterior. Why? She asked quietly. Why now? Why do you suddenly care? Because I saw them, he admitted. I saw my daughter's eyes, my son's smile, and I realized what I'd thrown away. What I'd lost because I was too afraid to be weak, too proud to admit I could want something beyond power. His hands clenched on the table. I've spent 3 years as the most powerful man in Seoul's underworld, and I've never felt emptier. And then I saw what could have been, what should have been, and I knew I had to try. Vanessa wanted to stay angry, wanted to hold on to her righteous fury and protective instincts. But beneath his polished exterior, she saw genuine anguish, and it shook her resolve. If I agree, she said slowly, and that's a massive if, there would be rules. Strict rules. Name them. You don't tell them you're their father. Not yet. We start slow. Maybe you're just a family friend. We see how they react to you, how you actually are with children before we blow up their entire world. Minjun nodded. Agreed. You don't try to buy their affection with expensive gifts. No ponies, no sports cars for when they turn 16, nothing excessive. Reasonable. And if at any point I feel like your world, your lifestyle, is dangerous for them, this ends. No arguments, no legal battles. You walk away. His expression hardened. I can't promise that last one. I won't walk away from my children again, Vanessa. But I swear to you, I will never let my business touch them. They'll be protected, always. Your protection almost killed them before they were born. The words struck home, and Minjun flinched. I know. And I have to live with that. But I'm asking you to let me prove I'm different now. That fatherhood can change me the way I see it's changed you. Vanessa closed her eyes, warring with herself. Every instinct screamed not to trust him, to grab her children and run back to Lagos where they were safe from his complicated, dangerous world. But another part of her, the part that remembered loving him, that saw the twins ask about their father sometimes, wondered if maybe he deserved a chance. One afternoon, she finally said, "This Saturday, we'll go to the park, all of us, and you can spend time with them. But I'm there the whole time, and if I see anything I don't like, we're done." Understood. Understood. Minjun's relief was palpable. Thank you, Vanessa. You won't regret this. I already regret it, she muttered, standing. I'll text you the details. You don't have my number anymore. She pulled out her phone and rattled off his private number, the one she deleted from her contacts, but never forgot. Some things stay with you whether you want them to or not. As she walked away, she felt his eyes on her back, intense and burning. And despite everything, despite the pain and betrayal and years of anger, her body still remembered what it felt like to be the focus of Minjun's attention. God help her, but part of her still wanted it. Comment below what you think will happen at the park. Will the twins like Minjun, or will this reunion be a disaster? And should Vanessa give him a real second chance? Let me know your thoughts. Saturday arrived too quickly. Vanessa dressed the twins in comfortable play clothes, her stomach a knot of anxiety. She hadn't told them anything specific, just that they were meeting a friend of Mommy's at the park. Is it Uncle David? Jaden asked, tugging on his favorite dinosaur shirt. No, baby. Someone new. Vanessa knelt to tie Mia's shoes, her hands trembling slightly. His name is Minjun, and he's very excited to meet you both. Will he play with us? Mia asked, her eyes, so heartbreakingly similar to her father's, wide with hope. I'm sure he will, sweetheart. They arrived at the park to find Minjun already waiting by the fountain, looking distinctly out of place in designer casual wear that probably cost thousands. He'd clearly made an effort, trading his usual suits for dark jeans and a simple black sweater, but he still radiated wealth and power. When he saw them approaching, his entire face transformed. The cold mask dropped away, replaced by something raw and yearning as he stared at Jaden and Mia. Hi, he said, his voice rough. He crouched down to the twins' level. You must be Jaden and Mia. I'm Minjun. Your mom told me all about you. Jaden, ever bold, stepped forward. Do you like dinosaurs? A smile tugged at Minjun's lips. I think they're incredible. Which is your favorite? T-Rex because they're the strongest. Very good choice. Minjun glanced at Mia, who was hiding partially behind Vanessa's leg. And what do you like, Mia? Mia peeked out shyly. I like painting and dancing. She's very talented, Vanessa added softly, watching the interaction carefully. Minjun's expression softened impossibly further. I'd love to see your painting sometime, if that's okay. Mia nodded, warming up slightly. Okay. They started walking through the park, the twins running ahead to the playground while Vanessa and Minjun followed at a distance. She watched him watch them, saw the naked emotion on his face, and her heart clenched. They're beautiful, he said quietly. Perfect. They are, Vanessa agreed. And they're smart, funny, stubborn as hell. Wonder where they get that from. His lips quirked. Thank you for this, Vanessa. I know it wasn't easy. It's not for you, she said firmly. It's for them. Every child deserves to know their father if that father is willing to actually be present. I'm present, Minjun assured her. I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. They reached the playground and Jaden immediately called out Minjun. Push me on the swing. Something profound crossed Minjun's face, hearing his name called by his son. He looked at Vanessa, asking permission silently. She nodded, and he moved to the swings, carefully pushing Jaden higher and higher as the boy squealed with delight. Higher! Higher! I don't want your mother to kill me on our first visit, Minjun laughed, the sound so genuine and warm that Vanessa almost didn't recognize it. When had she ever heard him laugh like that? Mia tugged on Vanessa's hand. I want to swing too. Go ask Minjun, baby. Mia approached Minjun shyly, and when she asked, he immediately lifted her into the swing beside her brother, carefully adjusting the chains to her height. Soon both twins were laughing, competing to see who could go higher, and Minjun was caught between them, giving them equal attention with a natural ease Vanessa hadn't expected. You're a natural, she said when he finally stepped back, letting them swing on their own. I'm terrified, he admitted quietly. I don't know what I'm doing. What if I mess this up? You will mess up, Vanessa said honestly. All parents do. The difference is whether you care enough to do better next time. He turned to her, and the intensity in his gaze made her breath catch. I care, Vanessa. More than I thought possible. I look at them, and I feel things I've never felt before. It's terrifying and incredible all at once. That's parenthood, she whispered. Mommy, Minjun, watch me. Jaden called, now climbing on the monkey bars. They spent the next 2 hours playing, laughing, and existing in a bubble that felt dangerously close to family. Minjun bought them ice cream from a vendor, carried Mia on his shoulders when she got tired, and listened with genuine interest as Jaden explained an elaborate story about dinosaurs fighting robots. But reality intruded when Minjun's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his expression darkened instantly. I have to take this, he said apologetically. Business. He stepped away, and Vanessa watched his body language change, becoming hard and cold as he spoke rapid Korean into the phone. This was the Minjun she knew, the dangerous man who controlled Seoul's underworld from the shadows. When he returned, the warmth in his eyes had cooled slightly. I'm sorry, but I need to handle something. Can we do this again? We'll see, Vanessa said non-committally. Minjun crouched down again, speaking to the twins. I have to go to work, but I had an amazing time with you both today. Can I see you again soon? Yes, Jaden shouted immediately. Mia nodded, smiling. You're nice. I like you. Vanessa saw something break and reform in Minjun's expression. He reached out, hesitated, then gently ruffled Mia's hair. I like you too. Both of you. So much. As they walked back to Vanessa's car, Minjun caught her arm gently. Tomorrow. Dinner, the four of us. Please. Minjun, we agreed to take this slow. I know, but I can't stop now. Every moment away from them feels like wasted time. His grip tightened slightly. I've already lost 3 years. Don't make me lose more. Against her better judgment, Vanessa found herself nodding. Dinner. Somewhere casual, child-friendly. I'll arrange everything. He released her arm but didn't step back. Thank you. For today, for them, for giving me this chance. Don't thank me yet, she warned. You haven't proven anything except that you can play in a park for 2 hours. Real parenting is harder, messier, less fun. Then teach me, he said simply. I want to learn. As she drove away, twins chattering in the back seat about how much fun they had, Vanessa caught Minjun's reflection in her rearview mirror. He stood watching them leave, looking more alone than she'd ever seen him, and despite everything, her heart ached. What was she doing? Getting involved with him again, letting him into their lives, was dangerous. Not just because of his business, but because she knew herself. Knew that part of her still responded to him, still remembered loving him. This was going to end badly. She could feel it. But she couldn't seem to stop it either. Over the next 2 weeks, Minjun became a constant presence in their lives. Dinners turned into weekend outings, which turned into him showing up at the hotel with breakfast. He was charming, attentive, and clearly falling in love with Jaden and Mia. But Vanessa noticed other things too. The way his security detail was always nearby, shadows protecting them from threats she couldn't see. The phone calls he took in hushed, angry Korean. The occasional bruise on his knuckles that he tried to hide. You're still in deep, aren't you? She asked one evening after the twins had gone to bed. Minjun had stayed to help with bedtime stories, and now they sat in her hotel suite's small living room, a dangerous intimacy settling between them. I can't just walk away from my responsibilities, he said carefully. But I'm making changes. Delegating more, stepping back from the worst of it. For how long? Until the novelty of fatherhood wears off. His eyes flashed. They're not a novelty, Vanessa. They're my children. My priority. Your priority that you didn't want, she shot back. Forgive me for being skeptical about your sudden transformation. Minjun moved closer, crowding her space on the small couch. How long are you going to punish me? How many times do I have to prove I've changed before you believe me? I don't know, she admitted, her voice breaking slightly. I don't know if I can ever trust you again, Minjun. You broke something in me that day, something I'm not sure can be fixed. His hand came up to cup her face, thumb brushing her cheek with devastating gentleness. Then let me try to fix it. Let me prove that I'm not that man anymore. You're still that man, Vanessa whispered, even as she leaned into his touch helplessly. You're still dangerous, still powerful, still living in a world where people like us are expendable. You were never expendable, he said fiercely. You haunted me, Vanessa. Every woman I saw, every moment alone, I thought about you. About what I'd lost. Stop, she breathed, but she didn't pull away. I'm not going to lose you again, Minjun continued, his face inches from hers now. Not you, not them. You're mine, you've always been mine, and I'm done pretending otherwise. Possessive as ever, she tried to joke, but it came out breathless. Always. His lips brushed hers, feather-light, a question. Tell me to stop. She should. God, she should push him away, protect her heart, remember all the reasons this was a terrible idea. But 3 years of loneliness, of raising children alone, of missing him despite everything, came crashing down on her. Instead of telling him to stop, Vanessa closed the distance and kissed him. It was like coming home and jumping off a cliff simultaneously. Minjun groaned against her mouth, his arms coming around her to pull her into his lap. The kiss was desperate, hungry. 3 years of separation and longing poured into the connection of lips and tongues and gasping breaths. I missed you, he rasped against her neck, kissing along her throat. God, Vanessa, I missed you so much. This doesn't fix anything, she managed to say, even as her fingers tangled in his hair. This doesn't erase what you said, what you did. I know. He pulled back to look at her, his eyes dark with desire and something deeper. But it's a start. Let it be a start. Before she could respond, his phone rang, shattering the moment. Minjun cursed in Korean, glancing at the screen. I have to take this, he said regretfully, lifting her off his lap carefully. Reality came crashing back. Vanessa wrapped her arms around herself as Minjun stepped onto the small balcony, his voice hard and commanding as he dealt with whatever crisis had arisen in his dark empire. What was she doing? She'd just kissed the man who'd thrown her away, who'd told her to abort their children, who lived a life so dangerous that people died at his command. But God help her, she still wanted him. We're reaching the climax of this incredible story, and things are about to get even more intense. If you're loving every twist and turn, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the explosive conclusion. Drop a comment and tell me, should Vanessa protect her heart or give in to the passion? Let me know now. The crisis Minjun was managing turned out to be serious. A rival family, the Parks, had apparently discovered his connection to Vanessa and the twins. The next morning, he arrived at her hotel with a full security detail, his expression grim. Pack your things, he said without preamble. All of you. You're moving into my penthouse today. Excuse me. Vanessa blocked the doorway. You don't get to just order me around, Minjun. This isn't about control, it's about safety. He showed her his phone, and her blood ran cold at the photos displayed. Pictures of her and the twins at the park, at restaurants, entering and leaving the hotel. Someone had been following them. The Park family knows about Jaden and Mia. They know they're mine. And they'll use that against me if given the chance. This is exactly what I was afraid of, Vanessa said, her voice rising. Your world, your violence, touching our children. Which is why I need to protect them, Minjun insisted. My penthouse is secure, fortress-level security, guards, everything. They'll be safe there while I deal with this threat. Or we could just leave. Go back to Lagos where your enemies can't find us. His expression hardened. You're not taking my children away again. They're not yours to claim, Vanessa shot back. You've been playing daddy for 2 weeks. That doesn't erase 3 years. I'm not playing at anything. Minjun's voice rose to match hers, all pretense of calm shattering. Those are my children, and I will protect them with my life. You can fight me on this, or you can accept that I have the resources and the will to keep all of you safe. Your choice, but make it fast because every minute we stand here arguing is a minute you're all exposed. Vanessa wanted to refuse on principle, but fear for her children overrode pride. Fine. But this is temporary, just until you handle your business problem. Agreed. The penthouse was exactly as she remembered, sleek and modern and expensive, but Minjun had clearly made changes. One of the spare rooms had been converted into a children's paradise, complete with toys, books, and two small beds shaped like race cars. When did you do this? Vanessa asked, stunned. I had it done the day after we met at the park, Minjun admitted. I was hoping you'd agree to visit eventually. The twins were ecstatic, running from room to room, exploring their new temporary home with squeals of delight. Watching them, seeing Minjun smile at their joy, Vanessa felt her carefully constructed walls crumble a little more. That night, after the children were asleep, Minjun poured them both wine and joined her on the balcony overlooking Seoul. I'm going to war with the parks, he said quietly. It won't be clean, and it won't be quick. But by the time I'm done, every family in Seoul will know that my children are off limits, that anyone who even looks at them wrong will face my full wrath. This is the life you wanted to protect them from, Vanessa reminded him. No, this is the life I live. But I'll burn it all down before I let anyone hurt them. He turned to her, intensity blazing in his eyes. Or you, Minjun. I love you, he said, the words stopping her heart. I've loved you since the day you first smiled at me in that bar, all confident and beautiful and unlike anyone I'd ever met. I loved you when you lived with me, when you left me, every day in between. And I love you now, even though I know I don't deserve you. Tears burned in Vanessa's eyes. You told me to get rid of our children. I know. His voice broke. And I'll regret those words until the day I die. But I'm begging you, Vanessa, give me a chance to make it right. To be the man you needed 3 years ago, the father our children deserve, the partner you can trust. I don't know if I can trust you, she whispered. Then let me earn it. He took her hands, holding them gently. Every day, for the rest of my life if that's what it takes. I'll prove that I've changed, that we can work. Before she could respond, an explosion rocked the building. Minjun immediately covered her body with his, pushing her down as glass shattered around them. Alarms blared and security rushed onto the balcony. Get them to the safe room, Minjun barked, pulling Vanessa to her feet. Now, they rushed to the children's room where Jaden and Mia were crying, terrified by the noise. Vanessa scooped them both up while Minjun led them to a hidden panel in his office, revealing a reinforced room with supplies and communications equipment. Stay here, he commanded, kissing each twin's forehead and then, without thinking, kissing Vanessa hard and desperate. I'll handle this. Minjun, don't. But he was already gone, the door sealing behind him with a heavy thud. For 3 hours, Vanessa sat in that safe room, holding her crying children, listening to gunfire and shouting in the distance. She'd never been more terrified in her life. When the door finally opened, Minjun stood there, blood on his clothes, a cut above his eyebrow, but alive. Gloriously, miraculously alive. It's over, he said quietly. The parks sent a message. I sent one back. They won't try again. Vanessa handed the twins to a guard who'd appeared behind Minjun, then launched herself at him, not caring about the blood or the violence or anything except that he was safe. Don't ever do that again, she sobbed against his chest. Don't ever leave me not knowing if you're coming back. I'm sorry, he murmured, holding her tight. I'm so sorry. I can't do this, she said, pulling back to look at him. I can't live like this, Minjun. Always afraid, always looking over my shoulder, wondering if today's the day your enemies hurt my babies. Our babies, he corrected gently. And you won't have to. I'm out. What? I'm out, he repeated, louder. I'm stepping down, transitioning control to my cousin. I'll maintain a small share for income, but I'm done with the violence, the wars, all of it. My family is more important. You'd give up everything? Vanessa asked, searching his face for lies. I already lost everything once when I let you go, Minjun said simply. I won't make that mistake again. You, Jaden, Mia, you're everything now. The rest is just noise. She kissed him then, pouring 3 years of pain and love and hope into it. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Minjun rested his forehead against hers. Come home, he whispered. Really home. Marry me, let me be the father I should have been from the start, the partner you deserve. Give me forever to make up for the time I wasted. That's a long time, Vanessa said, smiling through tears. Not long enough, he replied. I'll need at least 2 lifetimes to worship you properly. Always so dramatic. You love it. And God help her, she did. She loved him, despite everything, because of everything. Because people could change, because love could be stronger than pride, because the man holding her had proven he would burn down his entire world for her and their children. Yes, she said softly. Yes to coming home. Yes to being a family. Yes to giving you the chance to make this right. Yes to marrying me, he pushed, hope blazing in his eyes. She pretended to think about it, then smiled. Yes to that too. But I'm keeping my last name. I wouldn't expect anything less. He kissed her again, softer this time, a promise of the future they'd build together. From the doorway, a small voice piped up. Does this mean Minjun is staying? They broke apart to find Jaden and Mia peeking into the room, the guard looking apologetic behind them. I tried to keep them back, boss, but... It's fine, Minjun said, kneeling down with his arms open. The twins rushed into his embrace, and he held them close, his eyes suspiciously wet. How would you two feel if I stayed forever? If I was more than just Mommy's friend? Like what? Mia asked. Vanessa knelt beside them, completing their circle. Like your daddy. Would you like that? The twins looked at each other, having one of those silent conversations only siblings could manage, then turned back with identical smiles. Yes, they shouted in unison. And just like that, the family that had been broken before it began was whole. 6 months later, Vanessa stood in a private garden in Seoul, wearing a dress that blended traditional Nigerian and Korean elements, preparing to marry the man who'd once broken her heart and then spent every day since putting it back together. Minjun had kept his promises. He'd stepped back from the dangerous aspects of his business, moved them all into a secure but warm family home, and devoted himself to being present. He was there for every bedtime story, every scraped knee, every moment of their daily lives. It hadn't been perfect. They'd fought, argued about his overprotectiveness and her stubbornness. But they'd also laughed, made love, built something real and lasting from the ashes of their painful past. Ready? Chioma asked, adjusting Vanessa's veil. More than ready, Vanessa replied, watching through the window as Minjun stood at the altar, Jaden and Mia beside him as ring bearer and flower girl. The ceremony was small, just close friends and family, but it was perfect. And when Minjun lifted her veil to kiss her as his wife, Vanessa saw their entire future in his eyes, love, passion, partnership, and the family they'd almost lost, but fought to keep. I love you, he whispered against her lips. My beautiful, stubborn, incredible wife. I love you too, she whispered back. My reformed, dramatic, surprisingly good father of a husband. He laughed, that genuine, warm sound she'd once thought she'd never hear again, and kissed her deeper as their children cheered and their guests applauded. It had been a long journey from that penthouse bathroom 3.5 years ago, from those devastating words that had shattered her world. But standing here now, Vanessa knew that some things were worth fighting for. That love could be messy and complicated and painful, but also transformative and healing and worth every risk. Minjun had told her to get rid of it, had rejected their children before they were born. But those same children, their beautiful twins, had been the catalyst that brought them back together, that proved people could change and grow and choose love over fear. As they walked back down the aisle together, a family at last, Vanessa caught Minjun's eye and smiled. He smiled back, that private smile just for her, and squeezed her hand 3 times, their secret code for I love you. And she knew, with absolute certainty, that she'd made the right choice. That forgiveness was possible, that second chances could work, and that their story, which had begun with such darkness, had found its light. The millionaire Korean Mafia CEO who once wanted no part of fatherhood now couldn't imagine life without his children. The woman who'd run away to protect her babies had found the courage to stay and fight for their family. And together, they'd built something beautiful from the broken pieces of their past, a love story for the ages, messy and real and absolutely perfect in its imperfection. Thank you so much for watching this incredible journey. If you love this story, you absolutely have to subscribe to the channel because we have more amazing Afro-Korean romance stories coming your way. Hit that like button if the story gave you all the feels, and comment below telling me what other types of stories you want to see next. Should we do more CEO romance? More Mafia drama? Let me know. And remember, love always finds a way, even when the journey is painful. I'll see you in the next story, and trust me, it's going to be just as emotional and romantic as this one. Until then, keep believing in second chances and happy endings.